Hi, I'm Chris Young from Attachmate's North American Systems Engineering Group, and today I'm going to be talking about automating security with Attachmate Reflection. This latest round of security vulnerabilities have created some sleepless nights for IT admins, so I ask you, how confident are you that your data is secure, and did you struggle with patching vulnerabilities like Poodle and Heartbleed? What if there were an easy way to enforce encryption and address these vulnerabilities at the same time? Well, you can with Attachmate Reflection. Reflection simplifies security because it's got an advanced API that's always watching behind the scenes. It can detect when a user opens a new emulation session and whether that session has been encrypted or not. It can also check to see if it meets a certain level of security like TLS or SSL v3. Finally, it can make changes and then save those changes permanently. This is going to allow several key capabilities. First, you'll be able to go from clear text to encrypted text. If you're struggling with a vulnerability like Poodle, you'll be able to move to a more secure protocol. And finally, if some future vulnerability crops up, you'll be able to address that instantly. I'm now opening Reflection to show you this API in action. And I'll first point out the View Opened event. This is what allows us to trap that new emulation session opening. Then we have a little UI to let our user know that we're upgrading their session. And then finally we actually have the apply security function. This is what's going to check to make sure that we're operating on a specific terminal type and that we've applied encryption. It's also going to check the version of protocol that we're running. And we've got a couple little message boxes here to show us if we're potential for Poodle or potential for Heartbleed. I'll also show you an XML file we're going to use as our data source. Inside of here, this is what's going to do our old to new port mapping. You can see we're operating on dallas.attachmate.com, and we're going to go any old port, we're going to redirect that to the secure port of 723. We are now going to go ahead and open up a new 3270 terminal and plug in our host name of dallas.attachmate.com, regular telnet port of 23, and as you can see, it's now upgrading it automatically, prompting us to save our file because this is an untitled file. Once we save this file, you'll see that it's upgrading us to SSL, and we're going to go ahead and check that by verifying the certificate. And let's go ahead and look at our protocol as well. You'll see that this is upgrading us to TLS 1.0. While we're here, we'll also check and note that our port has been flipped from that unsecure 23 port to now 723. Next, we're going to go in and change our connection settings, still 723, but we're going to now drop the protocol back to SSL v3. So we come in here, change it back, OK. Now we're going to test the connection just to make sure. So we're there, we're secure. Now we'll go ahead and save this document. And this would be potentially vulnerable for Poodle. So as we open it, you can now see that Reflection has identified that. It's upgrading us. And now when we go in and check our protocol again, we'll notice that it's moved us from SSL v3 back to TLS 1.0, which is where we want to be. Next, we're going to flip our connection forward to TLS 1.2. And this would potentially be vulnerable for Heartbleed if you have not patched. So we're going to go ahead and save that, close it, and pretend like we're a user opening this from scratch. You can see Reflection has identified it as the potential for Heartbleed. He's now changing that session back to TLS 1.0. We'll go ahead and check our certificate, make sure we're secure, and we'll go ahead and look inside of here and see that our protocol has moved back to TLS 1.0. Now, not only does this work with Attachmate Reflection files, but it will also work with Rumba and PCOM files as well. You may be familiar with the Open dialog where you can open legacy Reflection documents, PCOM or Rumba files, including Attachmate Extra or older versions of Reflection. Here I have two PCOM and Rumba files, and I'm going to take the PCOM file and drag it over into Reflection. And Reflection doesn't really care what type of document we're operating on. He's going to treat them all equally and run them through the API. when he converts this PCOM document, he senses that it's not secure, and he goes ahead and takes it and converts it to TLS 1.0. I'm going to verify the certificate and then look at the protocol. You can see he's applied the same settings that he applied to the earlier reflection session. Now let's do this with Rumba as well. Go ahead and take the Rumba file. He sensed that it's not secure. He's upgrading it as well. We'll go ahead and again verify the cert and take a look at our protocol. And you can see he's done the same to the Rumba and the PCOM sessions that he did with the reflection sessions. Now that you've seen how easily reflection can apply these changes, all that's left to do is put it to work in your organization. If you'd like to dive deeper into this topic, please contact me at chris.young@attachmate.com or contact your local Attachmate account executive.